Hello again. Well, this is a special session, number 10, but we're actually going to talk about the Freefall. This is the premise of the whole book, and that is it gets to a certain point to where I liked an illustration that a writer named Larry Crabb used many years ago, many decades ago now, but he has a little picture of a stick man on the edge of a cliff. And you can see that he has a rope attached to him, and that the rope is being held by the hand of God. And so God is inviting him to join him in his work. And he looks down over this cliff and he's like, well, I don't feel the rope. I don't think it's strong enough. And of course, the whole point is that you're not going to feel the tension of the rope unless you jump. And there is a moment right after you jump where you still don't feel the tension of that rope. And it's very scary. There is a certain element of conquering your fear that at some point requires you to step out and actually do something, where if God doesn't come through, you're done for. You're going to fail, you're going to be embarrassed, maybe you die. But that's just the whole process. There's a story in the Bible from John's, it's often called his first public miracle, but Jesus goes to a wedding feast. And he goes there, his mom is there, some of his disciples are there. Anyway, it's a friend of his mom's, I guess, and so they run out of wine. This is a very embarrassing situation. And so Jesus is just there. He hasn't done any public miracles yet. He's hanging out there with probably what are his friends as well. And his mom comes to him and says, they're running out of wine. He says, woman, what does this have to do with me? It's not my time yet. Interesting that Mary is a mom like any other mom. This is so cool. I just love this. She doesn't really listen to Jesus. She just looks at the servants who are standing nearby and she says, do what he tells you. Bible doesn't tell us, but Mary knows that he has the ability to fix this problem, but those servants don't know. And if you put yourself in the place of those servants. So this woman says, do whatever he tells you, because you're out of wine. And so Jesus looks over, there's these several jars that are used for purification. And they would normally have water in them for washings, ceremonial washings under the old law. And so Jesus tells these servants, hey, fill those to the brim with water. Now let's just imagine that the guy who makes wine is there at the wedding too. He brought it, he's hanging around, and they're running out of wine. And so he's watching this go down where this woman says, do what he tells you. And this guy you don't even know says, oh yeah, fill those jars to the rim with water. And these guys start running around and they're taking water bags out and they're filling these jars. And you would just be so tempted if you were a vintner, someone who makes wine, just to say, hey, whoa, don't waste your time. That is not the way wine is made. This is crazy. But if you've read the story, you know the end. They fill the jars with water, and then Jesus tells him just to take a ladle of it to the master of the feast, and it turns out to be the best wine of the day. Here's the thing. Here's the story about Freefall, the lesson to be taken from this story. And there's so many more in the book if you want to go deeper into some of the ways that Jesus shows us that this is true. Jesus will call us to work in areas that we see no possibility of success sometimes. So much of what I have perceived God leading me into as I walk with expectancy with him each day is situations that I'm going, I don't know what to do. I perceive God's telling me to go help this person. I feel totally inadequate. I don't feel that I have the resources or the knowledge or whatever it is that they need for me to do. And in that assessment, I'm totally correct. Here's the thing. That's not the way you make wine. You're never going to see God work in your life if you just don't start filling up those water jars. Whatever it is God tells you to do, just do. He says, follow me, walk with him. He says, talk to that person. What am I going to say? Don't worry about it. Just go talk. Just show up. Just follow. At some point, the way you conquer fear is by doing things that require courage and by doing things that God has to show up in order for you to be successful, in order for you to see this work. Anyway, we have one more session that deals with fear. And we're going to talk about doubt, and then we're going to have maybe one more special one about just one thing you need to realize before we go. But for now, Hey, if you've gone through this and you need more, please pick up my book, preferably from a local bookstore. They can order it for you from just the common distributors. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the usual places as well. Anyway, it's been good talking to you today, and let's do this.